Greetings, Viceroy. And now it is time for NOOCH Tiers. Rank the tanks. And no, not tears like crying, although Palpatine does enjoy watching and making grown men cry. But these are tiers, like a cake, like an onion. Ogres have layers, onions have layers. Tiers, NOOCH tiers. NOOCH tiers, rank the tanks. Okay, everybody, so it's time for NOOCH tiers. This is the first NOOCH tiers. NOOCH did these back in the day for a couple other games. Lego Star Wars Battles, another game NOOCH played. We're going to start these for Galaxy of Heroes, and I could not find a solid ranking of the tanks out there. Like, how do the tanks rank? And with CG Capital Games talking about making defense more and more important as the game goes forward, like they're making changes and they're saying we're going to make defense important. It's like, okay, well, let's talk about the most defensive characters in the game, and that is our tanks. So we're going to rank the tanks from bottom to top, and let's talk a little bit about how we're doing that before we jump in. So we're going to start at the bottom, which is going to be no game, then early game, mid-early game, mid-late game, late game, and unlimited power. Anyway, whoa, lost the glasses there. So now this is not saying that if you are in the mid to late game, you have to have all these tanks that I've listed so far. This is not saying if you're in early game, these are the only tanks you can have. This is just a clever ranking system. NOOCH is very clever. You know, NOOCH is a clever guy. And NOOCH has come up with a clever ranking system from bottom to top. Now, in the bottom section and the top section, you're only going to have one character. Because only one character can be the lowest. And only one. There can be only one. If you name that movie. There can be only one. There can be only one worst tank and only one best tank. And everything in between is going to be ranked. We're just going to go the tiers. So let's start at the very bottom. Let's start with no game. Oh no! NOOCH lied! NOOCH blew it up! NOOCH destroyed himself. We're going to start with Jedi Master Luke. We're going to set him off to the side. We're going to set Jedi Master Luke off to the side. Or this way, right? We just did this way. It's going to be this way. Off to the side. Doesn't count. He's a galactic legend. We get it. If you want to pick one tank to have in the game, you want Jedi Master Luke. I get it. He's a galactic legend. You got to work really hard to... Whatever. We get that. Off to the side. He's not in this ranking. No Jedi Master Luke. We pulled him out. We say... We accept that the galactic legend is the best tank in the game. That's going to be separate. So these are going to be everybody except Jedi Master Luke, ranked bottom to top. And now we start with no game. And that's the Mob Enforcer. Guys, I've never used this character. NOOCH has been playing this game since the beginning, like a 1 month in. Never used this character. Not once. Never seen it in a guide. Never seen anybody using Grand Arena. The Mob Enforcer is an unusable character. And just to be sure, I looked at the kit. NOOCH pulled up the kit. I want to say, well, let's make sure. Maybe because I think she's is she Galactic Republic? I don't even know. Well, no, she wouldn't be, right? Because whatever. She's not Galactic Republic. She's dark side. She doesn't have any synergy with anybody. She's got nothing. Her abilities, it was like with an Omega 40% chance to gain offense. Just stupid stuff. Completely useless, baseless tank in the game. No game is the Mob Enforcer. And on to the early game. Now, what we're going to do is best is going to be on your left, and we're going to rank it top to bottom. But NOOCH is going to start at the bottom, and we're going to be moving bottom up, right? So just barely, maybe above Mob Enforcer. I'm not even sure that that's true. Is the Gamorrean Guard, and I'm going to throw Jedi Knight Guardian in there too. Those three are just the weakest characters in the game. Now there was some recent. I know that Arnold did a video with Jedi Knight Guardian where she was like awesome with the new Jedi Master Kenobi and Ahsoka, but they're gonna nerf that. Nobody wants Jedi Knight Guardian being an important character in the game at any gear level. She's just a waste. Gamorrean Guard, there's nothing you do with them. Never seen them again. Never used in anything. He's just out there as a character. Tebow comes up next. Now, a lot of you guys are going to know this, but when the Rancor raid, the original Rancor raid first came out, Tebow was a really useful, actually he was the most important character in the game, in the original Rancor raid. You know, his third ability removes, I think 75% turn meter or all turn meter, I'm not sure. And that turn meter removal was what really drove it. And then as a leader, he would stealth the rest of your team, so he was a really good character for that Rancor raid early. And then once we got CLS, he was a useless character. Because CLS you can solo the Rancor raid with just CLS. You don't need anybody else. So Tebow, for a while, it was probably 6+ months. I don't know, maybe even more than that. Was a very useful character in the Rancor raid, and then, but then you know, boom, gone. No use. People don't even use him to get C-3PO. So he's just a useless tank. He doesn't taunt or anything. Just do. Clone Wars Chewbacca. There's a running gag. You know, every time they send out gifts, they give you 3 Clone Wars Chewbacca shards. That's because early in the game, to make up for something that went wrong, they gave us that, and everybody's like, what? Why do we care about this? You know, you used to use them, and I haven't played the game from the start, free to play, or open up a new account since they changed to the new characters, Anakin, and I don't even remember who else they put in there, but Clone Wars Chewbacca might be completely out of there by now. You know, in the original, for 5+ years, you used him for the first like 2 weeks of the game, if that, maybe a week, just to unlock stages and get through light side stages and dark side, but not dark side, light side. But then he just faded in the distance. They gave him a Zeta because you have to have a Zeta on him. It's a useless Zeta. He's just a useless character. Gar Saxon. Now these next two, these guys, I have seen Gar Saxon out there occasionally, and Mace Windu occasionally in a Grand Arena, like a Relic Gar Saxon, a Relic Mace Windu. And now they're Mandalorians. There's some Mandalorian stuff, but they really haven't done the Mandalorians a lot of justice. Gar Saxon comes in second in this tier of early game, or next to bottom, just because he has a really useful ship for the Empire. So as a character, you're not really going to use him, and I didn't even know he was a tank. To be honest, I had no idea this guy was a tank. But his ship is pretty useful for the Empire. Comes in, does some healing, restores protection. It's a good ship for the Empire. And Mace Windu, of course, you know, every 6 months somebody comes out with a video. They're going to rework Mace, and I found the evidence, and here it comes, and you're getting a Mace, and we never get a Mace rework. You know, Mace Windu has been a useless character pretty much since the beginning of the game, you know, which is a shame. I mean, he's just so good in the movies. He's like, you know, number 2 Jedi, and everybody loves him in the animated. He's just so good, and they were just wasting this character in this game. And he comes in at the top of this tier just because he has a capital ship, and that capital ship early game can be very useful if you upgrade it and use it. So you can use that capital ship early in the game, and that's why he comes at the top of this tier. But as far as being a character being used, he's just basically useless. All right, next to our next tier, the mid-early game. Now, before I open that up, the mid-early game, mid-late game, there's going to be a lot of debate in here, because this is where most of our characters fall. You know, if you look at this, I don't even know what you call it. It's like a bell curve, right? So if you've taken a statistics course at any point of your life, you know, at the beginning of the bell curve, there's very small, then it climbs up, and at the top, there's a whole bunch, then you call back down, and at the very end, that's what we're doing, right? This is just a different form of bell curve. So in the middle, all these guys are in the middle. There's going to be a lot of you that think, oh, he should move up 3 spots, move down 4 spots, whatever. I get it. There's just a lot of debate in these next 2 tiers, a lot of debate, and a lot of this is going to be personal preference in these next 2 tiers for sure. So let's get to next tier, mid-early game. Now, we've got a lot of characters in here. As you can see, you're going to see this here coming up in a second. The biggest struggle with making this video for Nooch was not the characters and the rankings, and it was getting the spacing right on these avatars. I mean, this is difficult. It's difficult to space these things out and get anyway. So if we go from right to left, so we're going to go from worst up to top. Zeb. I really feel like those first two, Zeb and Royal Guard, they're pretty interchangeable. Royal Guard is useful at the beginning of the game as a tank on your dark side. You're going through the dark side nodes, and then he just falls off. And similar with Zeb, he's okay early as part of your Phoenix team. He's got a ship that you use early in the game, and then the Phoenix team fades off, and the ship fades off, and you don't touch it anymore. And Nooch has him Zeta'd on his main account, and I got all the Phoenix Zeta, and it's What a waste, what a waste. So Zeb doesn't do you much good. Royal Guard doesn't do much good. He is there. You need him to get Sith Eternal Emperor, but he doesn't really offer much to your roster other than that. The next two, Baze and K2SO. So I kind of put them together. They're really interchangeable. There for a while when CLS first came out, Baze and Chirrut were in there with a lot of CLS teams in the meta team in the game with CLS. But over time, and within a few months, they had faded and nobody was using them. They were a really good combo back, 2-3 years ago. We'd throw them into Territory Wars, you'd put them in Arena. Their usefulness has faded, but both of them are needed for light side territory battles, the Hoth version of it for the Rebels. So if you're doing those Hoth light side territory battles as an early game player, you need both. Both these guys are really useful on the for First Order. Not First Order, for Rogue One squadrons, which you need to play those early games, and you need Zeb for that Phoenix Squadron too. So that's where those guys all fall. Johanni is next. I struggle with where to place her. You need her to get Jedi Knight Revan. So there you go. She's got use there. You need to get her up. She's an okay Jedi tank. I actually will throw her in sometimes into Grand Arena on an offense Jedi squad if I just need an extra body in there or need somebody to suck up some. If Nooch needs a meat shield on a Jedi team, I'll throw Johanni. Got a Gear 12 Johanni. Just throw her in there to taunt, and that's pretty much it. So she's okay. Not Zalbar. That's old Chewie. Oh my gosh, what is that's? What do we call him? Chewie. That's solo movie Chewie. Okay, hang on. Nooch has to look this up. I forgot his name, and that's not good. We want to get the name right. So we're pulling out the handy dandy notebook. Wrong show. Let's go to our scout. I don't know why I can't remember this. I'm not remembering. Come on, guys. You're yelling right now at the computer screen. You're saying, that is Vandor Chewie. Vandor Chewie is the same thing. When he first came out, and early in Territory Wars, he was a really useful character. You'd throw him on a scoundrel team, and the other team would really struggle. And the same with Zalbar. You can see here in a minute, those two Wookiees. You put them on a scoundrel team when they first came out, and they were really difficult to overcome. You'd see entire walls in Territory War of scoundrels with Zalbar and Vandor Chewie in there. But over time, his usefulness has really faded. He's not that great. He doesn't really bring a lot of value. But if you're early game and if you farmed him, which I don't recommend, I don't know why you would be farming Vandor Chewie. He doesn't really lead to any other characters. But if you have farmed him, he can be useful in an early game Grand Arena for you. Just as time goes on, he's gonna be completely useless. Scarif Rebel Pathfinder. This is a personal preference thing. Nooch likes playing with Scarif Rebel Pathfinder. He falls a little bit higher because of his ship. If you've got Biston's U-Wing, Biston and Scarif Rebel Pathfinder are the pilots on that. And that Biston's U-Wing is what really makes your Rebel fleet go. If you have the Akbar's capital ship and Millennium Falcon and Biggs in there, that having a high relic or high geared Scarif Rebel Pathfinder can really make your Rebel fleet a really good fleet. I mean, Nooch actually with Relic, Scarif Pathfinder, and Biston, I can beat negotiators at least 50% of the time, if not more 60 to 65%. And in that combo of Rebel squads can actually beat the Malevolence too at about the same rate, 65%, maybe a little bit more against Malevolence, but with a little more damage taken. So that's why he falls a little bit higher than you might think he is. Chief Nebbit. You don't have a lot of use for him, but if you relic him out, of course he gets used with the Ray squad. And if you do farm Jawas in that early game, and you get them up to the same gear level as the Geos, they're a straight Geo counter, and Nebbit's in there to take up all the damage so the rest of your Jawas live. And as those Geos build up grenades, thermal detonators, they all just die automatically. So that's why he falls a little higher. If you farm him, he can be really useful because you see a lot of Geos in Grand Arena. It's just an amazing defensive team, but the Jawas at similar or same gear levels can handle that team. If you want to farm him, I'm not recommending you farm him, but that's why he's there. Stormtrooper Gary. That's kind of sentimental. Arnold loves to play with him. He's an okay tank, the Throne Empire team, kind of as a filler. But he falls really out of that primary Imperial Trooper team. Doesn't fall in the primary Empire team. but you know, he's a serviceable tank, and you throw a bunch of defense on him, he can really just take a beating. So Paploo. So Paploo falls higher than these other guys because if you get into that early game, if you're going after like a Jedi Master Luke and you're farming for 3PO, well, you got that Ewok team, and that Ewok team early, even like getting into the mid game, can be a really effective defensive team in Grand Arena. And Paploo is the tank on that team, and if you can get him to go as fast as possible and start taunting, you can really cause your opponent some real problems on defense with those Ewoks, in addition to farming C-3PO with them. Plo Koon. So Plo Koon is here only because of his ship. But his ship is so dang good. His ship is so good. When it comes in and heals up, it's like 40% health and protection. I don't know the exact numbers, but it clears all debuffs off your team, heals up all that protection and health, and just completely turns the battle on a dime. You can be ready to die, and all of a sudden, boom, everybody gets all their health and protection back. And that's for everybody. It's not just for Galactic Republic. Everybody. So his ship is just that good as a reinforcement ship, and that's why Plo Koon falls at the higher end here, number 4 in this ranking. Zalbar, he ranks high. So I talked about Zalbar with Vander Chewy. He ranks higher because you do need him to unlock Jedi Knight Revan, and he is more effective. You know, NOOCH has a free-to-play account where we're farming Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. Let's put a tag right up there for that. You can go check out that series of videos that NOOCH is making, free-to-play Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. But I'll run into Zalbar in Arena from time to time. People are farming him to get Jedi Knight Revan in that early game at like under 2 million galactic power. And Zalbar can be a real beast. If he's got a lot of protection on him and he's got his Zeta with mission in there, he can be really, really challenging to get through. And he'll throw the armor shred on your team. So he's just a really good tank in that mid to early game. The last two hunters, Shore Trooper and Sith Empire Trooper, they might deserve to go to the next tier. I can acknowledge that. And this is where I talked about it's really hard to measure this stuff. Shore Trooper is a really good tank for an Empire team or even a Trooper team with that initial taunt. But when Piet came out, he kind of shoved Stormtrooper out and took that spot from him. So that's why he falls a little bit lower, but he still is a really good tank, especially when he has that initial taunt. And the same thing with Sith Empire Trooper, that initial taunt, and he goes in there with a Darth Revan team, but you don't always need or use him with that Darth Revan team. So he's kind of right at that level of just here, or maybe he needs to move up 3 or 4 spots. Both those guys I can see moving up, but this is where they fell for NOOCH's rankings. So let's get to the next tier, the mid to late game tier of your tanks. Kanan. So Kanan. NOOCH actually would have ranked Kanan high. If I had my druthers, I actually enjoy Kanan a lot. NOOCH used Kanan for a long... Before NOOCH got Chupio, NOOCH was using Kanan in the assault battles versus Empire. I'd throw him in there with the rebels, and when he gets to that final tier, Kanan gains health every time he gains a debuff. So he'd be sitting there at like 25% health. You get to that final tier of that assault battle, which is really important, by the way, and Vader goes boom and throws a bunch of dots on him, and bang, he's at full health. And his full health, you can make him super, super tanky if you throw a lot of health on the guy. So he's really, really useful. But that's where he falls just based on, I don't know, really, I think just because he's Phoenix, and Phoenix are so disappointing. But he has usefulness as a Jedi. You can throw him on a Jedi team as he's a better tank than Johanni below. He's a better throw-in tank to take damage to. So that's why he falls into this tier. Oh no. Okay, here we go again. NOOCH is falling down on the job, and oh boy, I've forgotten. Yeah, I know. You guys are yelling at your Wrecker. Holy cow! Wrecker. I put Wrecker here because I don't have him maxed out yet, and I haven't really used him in Grand Arena, which is kind of his useful part. Is that Bad Batch Grand Arena team, but I haven't been able to use him yet because I don't have him leveled up. As soon as I get him to 7 stars, I'm going to relic him because I'm going for Lord Vader, but I don't have him yet, so I think this is the tier he needs to be in because he's really best suited and only going to work on a Bad Batch team. but I didn't really know where to put him in this tier, and I think he's going to fall down there. He could climb up there with the B2 of Magnagard level, because they really work inside that Grievous team too, and they're limited to that team, but they're really good in there. But I just haven't had the chance to use him. You know, our lady here, I tell you guys, this is the canceled lady. I am struggling here, and I apologize. You know, Nooch is forgetting names, and this is where he... Sorry, Cara Dune. I call her the canceled lady because she got canceled. So Cara Dune, she's really annoying on a Mon Mothma team, and that's why she has made this tier. If she has potency up, when she gets killed, she revives. And you throw that into a Mon Mothma team where she's already reviving characters, and it's just a pain in the butt. It's just massive pains in the butt. I've actually faced teams, and I like to use like a Nest solo with the Kira lead, and you just can't get through her. She just keeps coming back, and you just cannot ever eliminate her, and she's a real pain in the butt, and that's why I put her there. She's also needed to get a Beskar Mando, but Beskar Mando, as we all know, is really the worst journey character in the game, so, you know, it was a Stormtrooper Han. I didn't really know where to put him. Early game, he has a lot of great mechanics. He is really good. If you can get him taunting and people are hitting him and your whole team is gaining turn meter every time he gets hit, it's great. I know I put him kind of here because Cubs fan Han is a big fan of him. I don't really use him a lot. He's kind of that extra tank I'll throw in when I need some beef, but you know, that's why he falls there. L3, you'll still see her. You see her right now. You'll see her in Arena on some of the Array teams. You'll definitely see her in Grand Arena on some of the Array teams, and that's where she falls. She's also in the Lando's Falcon, which is a good ship, but later in game the ship falls off its usefulness, so that's where she falls in this area. Poe, I'm not sure about this one. You guys might want to yell at Nooch about this, but that's fine. Poe goes here because I tend to field in Grand Arena a Poe lead team with the vets, with Han and Chewie veterans. And it tends to be a banner-stealing team. People really underestimate that team when I do it, when you get them all relicked. And plus his ship, when you've got Holdo's ship out there, his ship, Poe, is just such a massive damage dealer and so important to that fleet. So that's why he falls higher than like L3 or these other ones in there to me. For those two reasons, his ship is really important. First Order Stormtrooper, same kind of reason. You'll still see him in Squad Arena on Kylo teams. He is needed for Kylo Ren's shuttle, which is part of the finalizer ship trio, and Nooch uses that every Grand Arena. Nooch kills somebody with finalizer, so he might fall a little bit higher for Nooch than he falls for you guys, but that's where he falls for Nooch. Old Ben, just a really good rebel tank, and he's got a nice little leader ability with some evasion. You know, you see a guy like Dylar, Nooch's buddy, out there using, I don't know if he's still doing it these days, but he's got the history of using Old Ben as a leader and having Wampa there, and when they evade, they get turn meter. It's just kind of a thrown together team, and then when Ben dies, everybody gets buffed. So he's just a really good tank to have on your Rebel or Jedi squad. He can suck up a lot of damage. He impacts turn meter. He gives everybody ability blocks. Really good tank to have out there. Magnagard and B2, they kind of fall in that same category. They go right with that Grievous team, and they perform different functions, right? Magnagard is the taunter. He makes everybody else stealth at the beginning, so he's the one taking all the damage. At the end, when he dies, he gives one last shot. B2 is just out there taking turn after turn after turn, knocking out all your buffs. You got no buffs left. He doesn't taunt unless you you can put a taunt on him in territory battles. You know, throw that taunt on him with Watt just so he takes the damage. But he's not a natural taunter. But just his constant buff clearing and buff blocking that he puts on your opponent's team is really effective, and that's why he makes in this tier, and he's getting to the top. And we're starting to get toward that late game tier. You will see B2 and Magnagard every single Grand Arena. Almost everyone puts them on defense because it's a team you have to spend a big team to kill, and even when you spend that big team, you're probably going to sacrifice some banners along the way, so you're going to see these guys a lot. Holdo comes next. Now Holdo, you'll definitely see in Arena on the Ray teams. You'll see her a lot more in Grand Arena on the Ray teams. You know, she's got that taunt. I think it's when Foresight expires on a Resistance ally. But she falls higher because she's got the capital ship. And that capital ship really drives her value. The Raddus, you know, she is the leader of that capital ship. And if you don't use the Raddus a lot, you know, you might want to take a closer look at it because it's really good at killing malevolence. in Grand Arenas. So if you see a Malevolence on defense and you got the Raddus there, there's some videos out there. Bit Dynasty has a video, a really good video on how to kill Malevolence with your Raddus, with Holdo in there. That's why she falls there. Hey, by the way, side note, why wasn't Holdo just Akbar? Why wasn't she just Akbar? Akbar, why did you kill him off the beginning? You should have kept him around. He's the one that takes over the Resistance. He's the one, I mean, how cool would that have been? And then this game would have 2 Akbars in it. You'd have old Akbar, then you'd have like Rebel Akbar and Resistance Akbar, and he'd be leading this ship. That'd be so much cooler. I don't know why you had to bring in a whole new character. It's just, Last Jedi. Deep breath, Snooch. Okay, Sunfac. Obviously, he's on the Geo team. He doesn't make the team go, but he puts things like stagger on enemies. He clears their buffs every time he hits with a basic. And he's going to hit with a lot of basics because they all assist every time. So he's always there clearing the buffs on the other team to make it easier for you to do some damage and target who you want. And he has one of the best tank ships in the game. You know, you see Sunfac's ship always, it's Malevolence and it's automatic on the starting lineup for Malevolence. You'll see it out there earlier game. You know, you throw those Geos out there with like a Tarkin or a Thrawn. Great ship, great character, great tank, really good on that Geo team. He falls really high on this level of mid to late game tanks. These next 2 are really tough. Scion and Og Finn. Nooch was really struggled with, you know, is Finn better? Is Scion better? You could probably interchange them and I'd have no argument with you. You know, Scion is really the keeps everybody safe on that Traya team. The Traya team is the biggest Geo counter in the game. If you have Traya and Scion geared up, you can just use the 2 of them and they can counter Geos all on their own if you got them geared right for a bunch of health and whatever. So they can do it all on their own. But then you have Finn, and Finn is now, once the Resistance, we needed him all for Ray, which is a couple years ago now. He became a really good leader to throw on defense in Grand Arena with the 2 Resistance heroes. He's also really effective in the Sith raid in that first tier with Jedi Training Ray. He's the damage dealer in that tier. He clears the buffs. You could interchange both these guys. Scion really serves more as an actual tank. Finn really serves more as, he does tank, but he's just there doing damage, sucking up damage, giving out a bunch of health and protection. So interchangeable there with Finn and Scion. Now to our late game. Now it's getting exciting. We're getting down to the end. Our best tanks in the game in Galaxy of Heroes. You've heard of the NOOCH tiers. It's tiers like layers like cake. Ogres have layers. Onions have layers. Late game tanks. Here they are. Starting at the bottom, Night Sister Zombie. You might not have expected to see her here, but man, you can use her in so many places. You still, now that General Kenobi is here, you're seeing her back in Squad Arena. She's making a return to Squad Arena with Daka. Oof, Nooch is having trouble with names. This is a lot of names. It's 40. I think it's 47 names. 43 tanks. I can't remember all those names. It's just difficult. It's difficult. Okay, so Night Sister Zombie. You know, her revive mechanics, so she's always reviving and always, she just keeps on taunting and reviving, taunting, reviving. She revives Daka twice. She revives, you know, other Night Sisters. If she's on a Night Sister team, whoever the first 2, you got to kill 2 of them first before you even start killing people. You're not even really killing them. They just keep coming back. She's just a really good. She falls into the C Rancor. You use her on that Kylo team or on other. She just is a really good, useful tank, especially when you pair her with Daka. Especially, you can throw Night Sister Zombie and Daka onto a bunch of teams and make those teams a lot better. So she falls into this late game tank. And if you are going to farm 2 Night Sisters, farm Night Sister Zombie and farm Daka, and you can use them in a bunch of places, even early game. Throw them into a different team. Make your opponent sweat because they're there trying to kill you and they can't get around Night Sister Zombie's taunt. Jedi Training Ray is next. Released, man, a long time ago. I don't know, is it 3-4 years ago now? I guess it was when the movie came out. She was released when Last Jedi, right? Why is anyway? I can't even. We got here Kylo Ren Mass. We're just getting all this last. All right, so Jedi Training Ray, still so good. You can counter all sorts of teams with her, BB-8, R2, and some other Finn in there. You use her in the Sith raid in that first tier if you don't have Supreme Leader Kylo Ren to clear the whole thing. She is so good. She puts that heal block that you can't dispel. She removes turn meter. She's calling an assist. She just makes that resistance team, that second tier resistance team, so good. She's such a great character in this game, and continues to be so all this time later. Fives is next. Now these next two, I'm sure you can argue about these. Fives and KRU. You know, Fives is so important to that clone team. He revives them all. If somebody else, if like Rex dies first, Fives sacrifices himself and passes all of his health and protection and damage and cleanliness and personality, passes it all over to the rest of the clones. He's so good on that clone team. His ship is so important to that Galactic Republic ship squad. That's, by the way, Nooch's least favorite ships. I hate that Galactic Republic. It's just this. I hate the stalling. I hate the stall. You know, Mace Windu was the original stall, and then they. Anyway, I just hate it. So Fives comes in there. He's so important to that team. But Nooch has always been a first order guy. You know, KRU, it was so important. Nooch just farmed the heck out of him the minute he was in the game. I love KRU. I love his taunting. I love the way he works. Like, you can throw him into a bunch of teams as an initial taunt. His ship is the most fun ship in the game. I really, you know, as you just work to stack up his damage. By the end of a battle, he can be doing 3, 4, 5, 600,000 damage to the enemy. Is anything more fun than dropping 600k on a single shot? No, there's nothing more fun than that on ships. I just have so much fun with his ships. I use it every grand arena. His initial taunt. If you're, you know, Nooch is in this free-to-play. I mentioned the free-to-play account. We'll put the tag up there again. The tag up there. Follow this free-to-play series for Nooch. We're farming Supreme Leader Kylo Ren from the start. We're going to do it in less than a year. I think we'll have him activated in less than a year, and hopefully to Relic 7 in less than a year. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But he's just such a good character. And early in the game in Grand Arena, he's overcomeable to a lot of teams if you've got him in there. So he's just a great character to have on your team. He falls near as the 4th best tank in the game outside of Jedi Master Luke. Coming in next, Bosk. Man, guys, the best tank ship in the game, and flexible. And now with the Executor coming out, he's going to be even more important with those ships. And running your bounty hunter team just makes them, they just keep gaining health and gaining protection and gaining it back. He just makes so much survivability for your bounty hunters. He can even just serve as a regular tank in there if you want to have like a Jango or a Mando lead. Bosk is so good early, mid, late game. He's a great character. Get him geared up, get him relicked, use his ship, get it going. He is awesome. General Kenobi, the second best tank in the game. You might be able to argue this one, but I think Nooch has an argument for our unlimited power. Unlimited power! I probably jumped the gun on that one. General Kenobi, leader of the Negotiator. So he has a Negotiator, which is probably the best capital ship in the game right now until Executor comes out. It's been the best capital ship in the game for 2-3 years. I mean, 2 years probably, for a long time. And yeah, Malevolence is there with it, but it falls just behind the Negotiator. Negotiator is just such an awesome ship. But not just that. Kenobi, he is the light side tank that you can throw onto any team. You can throw him on a Jedi team, you can throw him into a Resistance team. You know, he has been in Squad Arena since he came out. Consistently in Squad Arena. He was in there with the Jedi Knight Revan team for a long time. He was in there with the Padme team. Now he is in there with the Jedi Master Luke team. He's been in there with the Rey team. General Kenobi is such a great tank and just an amazing character in this game. If you are not using General Kenobi, if you've unlocked it, you're just a fool. You have to get this guy activated. You have to use him. He is all around awesome in this game. He's an amazing character. Get General Kenobi on the field, and finally we get to our final tier. We did jump the gun a little bit, but let's get this going. Here we go. Help me! No! No! Unlimited power! Darth Malak. Darth Malak, Dark Lord of the Sith. Darth Malak. Have you heard the tale of Darth Malak? He could solo a Padme team, 3v3 for sure, 5v5 in the right situation. Perhaps you put a Savage or Press Leader in there for 50% more defense. Darth Malak, unlimited power. Guys, Darth Malak, same as General Kenobi. He doesn't have a ship. I know, you guys love. Okay, I get it. Darth Malak has been in Squad Arena since the day he came out. He was on the Darth Revan squad. He's part of that Darth Revan triumvirate, right? Revan, Bastila, Darth Malak. He's part of that squad. But the guy can solo so many teams for you. You know, when you look at characters that can solo other teams in Grand Arena, 5v5, 3v3, whatever, their value jumps up. It is an extra 2 to 4 banners for you when you get them in there. And actually, it's more than... it's 2 to 5, depending on the situation, if you do it right. You know, and those 2 to 5 banners can be the difference between a win and a loss for you. When you look at characters that can solo, you know, of course, Swinging Kylo, Ray can solo. Jedi Master Luke sucks at soloing stuff, but he's so whatever. Gas, OG Kylo does some solo, though NOOCH never. Darth Malak, man. If you look on SWGOH.gg at teams that are soloing, he is soloing Padme. He's not soloing maybe the full classic Padme, Kenobi, Anakin, Ahsoka, and like 3PO. He doesn't quite get that done. But if they got other stuff in there mixed with Padme, you know, if they got a Cody in there, or they got a clone, he can solo that all day long. He'll solo it. 3v3, Padme, Anakin, Kenobi, solos it. Just throw him in there. He's gonna solo that team. He's gonna save all the rest of your roster that you can use. You can use Darth Revan and Bastila somewhere else. He still is in Squad Arena. He's on these Sith Eternal Emperor teams now in Squad Arena. He just, you know, and you've even seen him in Grand Arena or in Squad Arena. He gets thrown onto these Jedi or to these Ray teams as well. You know, just being that kind of tank, that he fits into, you can throw on just about any team. He's going to make your life miserable. And when you hit him, when you crit him, he's going to give you fear, and then your character is out of commission for a full. Guys, Darth Malak is so good. He is the best tank in this game. And honestly, I don't think it's close. Because I get it. Kenobi has a ship. That's fine. That's great. But Darth Malak is not just a tank. He's an offensive juggernaut. None of the rest of these guys, you look at those other tanks in the late game category there. The only one that comes close to him on offense is Jedi Training Ray. The other ones are really there just to tank. They taunt, they tank, they make their team miserable, they recover health. And even if you look at the next tier, like Finn is a good offensive weapon. Scion can do some offense. Going down. Nope. I guess that Wrecker is a good offensive character. In the next tier, you know, you don't get a lot of offense with these tanks, but Malak with his life and I can't remember what it's called. I mean, he sucks an entire, he can suck an entire, all of your health. Just boom, gone, you're dead. Malak is so good. He's the best tank in Galaxy of Heroes, guys. He has unlimited power. That's all we got. That is your tank rank. Rank the tanks. NOOCH tiers. Ogres have layers. Onions have layers. Not tears like crying. Tears like a cake, like onions. NOOCH tiers, guys. Very first edition of NOOCH tiers for Galaxy of Heroes. We rank the tanks. There's your rankings from the no game of your Mob Enforcer to unlimited power with Darth Malak. That's how the game goes. And, you know, as you think about this and you ponder over it and you really discover what's happening here, you guys, while you're playing Galaxy of Heroes, you should always remember, NOOCH too good.